Hey everybody, welcome to Minecraft. I'm Jomomma, your host, and if you look behind me, you're going to see a world that's probably unlike any others you've seen. It's a creative world, of course, but it is set up with the CREAT Mod. And the CREAT Mod is a modification to Minecraft, of course, that adds some aesthetic and mechanical aspects to Minecraft that are kind of a new thing. They're kind of they're different, but they're very, very awesome. If you've played with Lego Technic sets or Expert Builder sets, if you're from my age group, then some of this stuff will be common sense to you, and some obviously is going to be new, but yes, this the mechanical aspect of it is absolutely mind-blowing. Some of the things you can do. Look at the gears, look at the shafts, look at all of that. You know what? The best thing we can do is kind of get right into it. So let's start with power. So in order to turn these things, in order to make all these mechanisms work, you need to provide a source of power. Now, this right here is an electric motor, okay? No, by the way, so look at the box that comes up. It says generator stats, and it shows little golden goggles next to it. If you take a look at me, and if you look at my face, you will see that I'm wearing a set of goggles. And those are, you wear it right here, a set of engineer goggles. And that's one of two very essential tools that you want to have with you when you use this mod and play around with it. Another is this wrench. Okay, both of these things can be crafted, and you can go into the recipes and figure out how to do that. But the important thing is, yes, get the wrench, get the goggles, put them on, equip them, and go to work. But anyway, yes, back to what we were talking about. Power is delivered to all of these components via rotational energy. Okay, now if you're familiar with a game like Factorio, energy is delivered via power lines. To the best of my knowledge, there are no power lines in this mod, but it is delivered through rotational energy. Now, for the sake of the creative mode, it gives you this, what's called a, let's see, we got this new tab, a couple of new tabs on the inventory thing here that open up the CREAT Mod here. Where did it go? Right here. So this is the creative motor, and all it is, it's just almost like it's got a universal or an unlimited power practically. Look at that number, 262,144 SU, stress units. So I'll get to that in a minute, but the point is that this motor can deliver a lot of energy, and it's just around for demonstration purposes if you want to try out a design and you don't want to go through the process of setting up a conventional, traditional source of power. But, okay, failing in that, because if you're playing survival, you don't have this. So how do you get rotational energy to do all the stuff? You can do so with a water wheel, like this right here. You can see this water wheel generates 192 stress units. Now, the way this works is you take a water source block and then offset it by, off to the side a couple of, basically, think like a chess move, okay? Think of a chess game. And do I have a better example? Yeah, right, Ratcha. Think of a chess game if you want to set this up. And think of the move that the knight makes. Oh, no, I guess you could do it diagonally, kind of like the bishop. But I was going to say you could set the water block, here, and then over 2, down 1, and then you can set your water wheel up. But I set this one up so that it's just diagonal. It's off to one side, and then, over 1, down 1. Anyway, so yes, the water spills over this water wheel, and I'll tell you right now, if we get the water wheel out, you're going to see that the water wheel actually has a bias when you set it up. A bias means it matters which way you place it. See the veins on the water wheel? They're kind of curved off to one side. If you draw a line from the center outward and just a line that radiates from the center, you're going to see that the little veins there kind of angle off of that imaginary line because they're catching the water like a real water wheel will. And it has a real effect too, as well. When water pours over it, you want those veins to point into the source of water so it cups it, kind of like a trough. Otherwise, if it points away from it, the water will just pour over it and have much less power. As you can see, though, this pours over it, and then the water after that, just focus it into the ground, just get it out of the way. Or you can find something else to do with it if you think that would work. But anyway, yeah, you can just get it out of the way. But you see right here, you actually have an option of setting up speedometers, and this is spinning at 12 RPMs. And you see I've got it going through a gearbox, and it's powering all these gears. And I've even got this, millstone right here that's being powered by it. And notice, again, pay attention to that number, 96 stress units. That's basically how much, quote, power this thing is taking. And this produces 192 at that speed. And at this speed, it's absorbing 96 stress units, which means, or rather it's delivering 96 stress units to the water wheel, which means this water wheel could theoretically power 2. If you add any more than that at this speed, it will stop the wheel. Okay, so that's water. So let's talk about wind. Notice this is spinning really slowly. Okay, this is delivering 512 stress units at the current speed, but the current speed is, oh my god, slow. So that takes into account. That should be taken into account. Also, this is another arrangement of a windmill. I've just kind of set this up to see if it would work. It does. It goes faster the more sails you add to it. Can I add more sails? Let's see. Can I actually do that? I think that's what works. I think that's what does it. Yeah, let's go ahead, do that. And if we add more, I have to stop it in order to do that. It's activated right now. I'd have to deactivate it, and I don't want to do that. Anyway, you can add more sails and get more speed. And notice it's 1,024 stress units at the current speed. We have a speedometer on it, but it's only going 2 RPMs. Now, I will tell you that at 2 RPMs, you're not going to get much done at any effect. You're not going to get much done effectively at that speed. And again, as I said, torque comes into play, and once we cover all the conventional power supplies, we'll talk about torque. The next power supply, which is conventional in this game, is called the furnace engine. Now, the furnace engine works by taking the heat generated by a furnace, and now nothing is happening in this furnace right now, but if we were to throw something in there, like let's say, you know what? I know what we can do. We can chop this tree down. And the way we chop this tree down, I know, don't be completely overwhelmed by what you're looking at right now. We'll get into what that thing is. This was just an experiment that I made, and it works. Okay, there it goes. There's the wood, goes into there. This grabs the wood, feeds it into there, and now it takes the heat from the furnace, smelting the wood, and it creates energy. And look at the energy. It's creating 16,000 stress units at, what's the speed? Can I take the speedometer? Let's find out the speed on this thing. And, right there. It's right there. 16 RPMs. Okay, very awesome. So at 16 RPMs, you can get a lot of work done. But this thing right here is taking that heat and turning it into rotational energy, which is running all of this stuff. Okay? Now, I have this electric motor right here set up to kind of prime the system so that the mechanical arms and everything will still work when you're just trying to get the thing started up. I could theoretically disconnect this now, and it will run on this. It will run on what's there. But you know what? We're gonna leave that alone for the time being, and we're gonna talk about some other things. Okay, so those are the sources of rotational power. Also, sometimes you're going to find that you're going to need lots of power early on, and you're not able to do it with a single source of power, like this water wheel's 192 stress units at this speed. But, see, if I take the speedometer and put this right on here, was this going to be 16 or no? 12. Okay, 12 RPMs. But this right here, this is a grid of mechanical crafters. Sometimes there are recipes that require crafting things with a mechanical crafter with a grid that is bigger than your typical. Let's see, do we have a crafting grid over here? Yeah, crafting table. Normally it's 3x3, right? And to show you that this does indeed work, let's go ahead and feed some watermelons into this thing. And you know, with watermelons, this is how it works. If you want the full watermelon, you got to put 9 slices in there to make it work. Now, these things are all powered. Notice they mechanically craft it and stick it over here onto what this thing is. This thing is called a depot. Yeah, there we go. So we got the watermelon right there. So we know that thing works. But notice it uses 128 stress units at the current speed. Each one of these does. So 128 times 9. Okay, that's a lot of power. Now this one, it's just 24 because it's going at a lower speed. Again, torque. But even at this speed, 24 stress units, there's 25 of them. That's 600 stress units. And as we saw, Water Wheel only delivers 192. So that's less than a third of what's needed. So what you can actually do in this game, which really surprised me, I mean, in real life, it makes perfect sense. But in this game, you always kind of wonder if the game engine allows some real life possibilities. And this one most definitely does. And that is that you can actually parallel multiple water wheels or other sources together to get an additive power, to get all of those power sources added together to overcome stress. Now, before we talk about torque and stress and all of that, let's kind of take a look at something else this mod does. So we're introducing you to the mod, but let's kind of take a look at a thing that it does. Let's see. Let's go to Create. Okay. By the way, if we go to the Create palettes, look at all of the possibilities. I said there were aesthetic possibilities. Look at all of these things. Things you can do with diorite, andesite. And weathered limestone is added. There's copper that's added. There's zinc. Gabbro cobblestone. Okay, gabbro is something that we can also find. It's out there. It's underground, I think. I'm not sure which scoria. There we go. There's another one that we can find. But all of these add a really interesting motif to the game. Very cool. But if we go to the Create side, look at all of these different machines, and notice we've got, in addition to the mechanical stuff, we've got a clock, we've got mixers, mechanical presses, we've got pistons. Just they call this a deployer, but it's basically a machine that functions like a hand. We've got saws, like you saw over there, cutting that tree down. We've got all kinds of great items, but you say to yourself, wow, this is really overwhelming. What do I do with this? How do I use it? Well, whoever created this mod did this fantastic thing where you roll over something, and let's talk about the gearbox, and let's hold W. Look, it says hold W to ponder. I'm encouraging you, don't just blow that off. Do it. And you hold it down, and now it's going to show you a demonstration of what the thing is and how it works. So the gearbox there, it shows you what it replaces. It's an equivalent, more compact setup for almost like a differential. So, and this guides you through how to deploy, how to use a gearbox. So it goes through an explanation, and then just pick any other item on here, like let's say the millstone. Okay, this shows you how to power the millstone. It grinds up items and spits things out. They can be powered from the side using cogwheels, and you can kind of see how that works. And then you throw items in the top, and they get spat out the side. So it can be obtained via right-click, or you can put a funnel there. I think it tells you that too. Yeah, right there. See? Boom. There you go. They can also be extracted by automation. Each of these things has an explanation like that, so you want to check it out. It's very cool. And that's kind of how you open your eyes to all the different possibilities that are in this game. Now, other possibilities, you saw belts in there. There are fluids as well. If you just hold shift, it will give you an idea of what you can do. Okay, halts the flow of fluid down a pipe. Applied rotational force will force the valve to close, ceasing flow of fluids. Reverse the direction of the rotational force to reopen the valve. Very cool. And there's a pump. Hit shift. It takes rotational force and uses it to move fluid along a pipe. Has a maximum range in both directions, 16 blocks. And the rotational force creates this pressure that forces fluid through the pipe. Reverse the direction of the rotational force to switch the direction that the fluid flows. So this is a possibility in the game as well. Also, mechanical belts. Let's go to W for that. Now you can see what belts do. And you can set up belts, and they can move things around, and you have a use for kelp. That's kind of cool. I like that. So we've got belts, we've got fluids, and I'm not going to sit through this, but in any case, yeah, these are all things that you got in the Create mod. And if you want to see how they work, like I said, hit the inventory key, go to Create tab, pick something, and then just basically hit W, like this blaze burner. You can actually capture blazes in this burner and use it as a heat source. So you've just got to give it fuel, and then it will provide heat. So pretty cool. Feed the blaze, blaze up, you know? That's what I'm saying. With a blaze cake, the burner can reach an even stronger level of heat. So there you go. Turn him blue. All right, so let's get out of there. So torque. We wanted to talk about torque. As I said, if you're familiar with torque, the concept of torque, you know that your engine, any motor, can only produce a finite amount of power. And that power is kind of a mix of the strength of the torque and the speed. It is an indirect relationship between speed and torque that a motor can deliver. So each of these represents a motor with a finite amount of power. So at 2 RPMs, this can deliver, what did we say, 1024? Okay, so 1024 times 2. Okay, so let's say that. So it would be, what would that be? 2048. So 2048 is the number to deal with. And if you double the rotational speed, then you cut your torque in half. You cut your stress units, or the amount of stuff you can power, in half, if that makes sense. So, like this uses 96 stress units at the current speed. If you were to slow the power down, then, so let's see, 96, and this is not spinning at that speed. So let's do this. Let's take this. Okay, let's see, what is that? It's a mechanical crafter. We're going to do a little test here. Put a block here, and then we're going to drop the millstone. Now look, it's going at half the speed, and it only stresses 48 stress units at that speed. At this speed, it's 96. And the reason is because we've increased the speed. Right here, this gearbox is the same speed as the water wheel, which is 12 RPMs. But it goes to this big gear, which has 16 teeth, and that big gear is spinning this little gear, which has 8 teeth. So in the time it takes for 16 teeth to do one rotation on this shaft, that causes 16 teeth to spin on this shaft. But that 16 teeth equals 2 rotations, not 1. So for every rotation of this gear, at, what did we say, 12 RPMs, I think? Then, is that right? Where's the speedometer? Okay, yeah, that's 24, but down here it's 12. So this spins at 12 RPMs, but because of this gear ratio, this is now spinning at 24 RPMs, and therefore, at double the speed, this produces double the resistance, which basically equates to decreasing the turning power of the overall engine, which is decreasing the torque. So that's, I hope that all made sense. The faster you want something to spin, the more stress it's going to deliver back to the power unit. That's how that works. So that's how they compensate for torque, and it is very cool. But again, good news in that if you have a power source which is lacking, you can parallel them together like this and set them up to power something that is particularly problematic. Like, for example, right here, all of these 600 stress units worth of mechanical crafters, this will work, but they are spinning much slower. Like, how fast was this? Was this 96, or might have even been more? 128. Okay, 128. And this is 24. So around 6 times, if I'm not mistaken. Is it 6? I can't think of it off the top of my head. Might be 5. No, it's a little more than 5 times. So that thing is spinning at 5 times the speed. Oh, you know what? There's a way we can tell. How can we tell? Do we have a speedometer on it? I think we can do that. Let's put a speedometer on it. See how fast it's spinning. 64 RPMs. Okay. And this one's spinning at 12. We learned that this one's spinning at 12. Okay, so there you go. You can do the math there. It's a little more than 5. Which means it has this is inducing less torque on the motors, on the water wheels, but it goes at less than 5 times the speed. Watch how slow this goes. And if we can't fill all the squares, the way mechanical crafters work, we can't fill all the squares, then we have to give a manual signal for it to craft. And you can see, there it goes. It's slowly pushing everything down to one side and crafting it. But we could sit here and wait for this to happen, which we will, but I hope this gives you a nice demonstration of how torque works. Now, again, bad news is something like a windmill doesn't deliver much torque. But the good news is we can connect these things together, and then we can use that shaft output from, say, multiple windmills all over the place if we wanted to set them up. And it will actually provide, they'll all add together and they'll provide maybe enough power to do what we want to do. And that's kind of important because, again, some recipes, like for example, where is it? The furnace engine, the flywheel and the furnace engine, they require, let's see, where is it? Where's the actual furnace engine? This is going to tell us. But the furnace engine actually requires mechanical crafters to create. You can't hand craft it. Even though it's not very big. I mean, it can be done on a 3x3 grid, but you have to use mechanical crafters to craft it. So that first crafting is going to be really slow. And then once you get it, you get that furnace engine, and then you plop it down, and then start to get energy from it. And then you've got a nice, powerful source. You've got a nice source of power that can spin fast and deliver lots of torque. Again, I mean, hang on. Why am I not seeing it? Oh, right, because it's off. Got it. So, anyway, when it delivers power, yeah, it delivers almost 16,000 stress units. So that's very cool. Okay, now I'd kind of like to show you this, more or less as a demonstration of what you can do with the game, and I give Mumbo partial credit for this because he's kind of inspired me to do it. Now, he did it in a different way, but still, I wanted to see if I could make it work. So thanks to Mumbo for providing me the inspiration, but I did it my own way. I didn't do it quite his way. So what this is, see, here's the thing. The center of this machine is, of course, the furnace engine. But there's a problem with the furnace engine. You need, let's see, do I have any wood? I do not. Okay, let's get some. Okay, put it right there. So the key to this is the engine. Now, in order for this to work, you have to smelt something. You have to heat something. So let's put that in there. Let's put that stuff in there. Now that it's creating heat, it spins. But, so you'd have to keep providing this thing fuel and something to smelt. So what I did is took logs. Logs can be heated, and then once they're heated, when logs are smelted, they create charcoal. So the output of the furnace comes down here to this funnel, goes into this chest, spits out this funnel, and this mechanical arm, which is powered by these shafts, picks it up, takes it from here. In fact, we'll watch it. Takes it from there and puts it up in this chest right here. This chest contains fuel. It contains charcoal. Now that charcoal is put in here, and it provides heat for further smeltings. So now we just need a source of wood. So where do we get the wood? Well, the obvious answer is trees. So we have to have trees. Now, in order for trees to grow, they need saplings and bone meal. Now, the saplings, if we plant a tree here, let me turn this, run the saw, cuts the tree down. Boom, the whole tree comes down. And all the contents go into this chest right here. Okay? All the contents go into this chest. Now, this chest spits out its contents onto this depot, and then this machine right here, this mechanical arm, sorts the contents out. Now, what we can usually expect is wood, which this mechanical arm will put in this chest over here. So that's where we get our wood, but also apples and sticks. And those get put into this chest here. They get spat out and sent to this into the lava down there. And then that disposes of them for good, so it doesn't clog the system, because we have no use for them. But this funnel right here, when this is extended, look for the sapling to come out of here. There's a filter on this. See, there, it takes the sapling and puts it into this funnel right there. And that, okay, come on. Let's see if we can do this again. Once it breaks, okay. This takes the sapling, and this hand, this little hand right here, this deployer, puts the sapling and plants it, okay? And it's ready to be grown, but we have to grow it. How do we grow it? Well, we need bone meal for that. So now we've got the other side of this machine, is the source of bone meal, okay? Now, how does that work? Well, we have a skeleton spawner right here. Imagine finding a skeleton spawner in the wild. And so I actually set up like 8 of them here. So just to really drive the point home. So obviously skeletons form, which, you know what? We're going to go ahead and switch our mode. So right now I think we're in peaceful mode. Let's go ahead and set it to easy. Okay, so now that bad guys can spawn, it drops the skeletons down here. Now what you're going to see, there, the bones come out. Now arrows also come out, but I've set this filter up here to spit the arrows into the lava. Now, the bones come into this mechanical crafter right here. And notice, the mechanical crafter takes power from the rotational energy here, takes rotational energy and turns the bones into bone meal. And this mechanical arm takes the bone meal, puts it into this chest right here for storage, and then this arm right here fills up this inventory right here, fills up this mechanical hand, this deployer, and it puts bone meal in this hand, and it waits for an opportunity to give it to a sapling. So right now, both these hands are kind of like, okay, we'll get this tree out of the way so we can plant and give bone meal. So what we have here, basically, is an unlimited source of wood, an unlimited source of fuel. So as long as, you know, every so often we fill it with wood, you know, come over here, flip a switch, and if you can imagine, in a real survival type Minecraft world, boom, there it goes. In a real survival Minecraft world, this would all be on the surface, and more than likely there would be a skeleton spawner right close by, and then the skeletons would drop a long ways, they would fall to their deaths, and then we would have an elevator that picks up the bones and brings them up to our level. So in reality, we could stand here, flip this switch, all the while being close enough to the skeleton spawner to activate it. So hopefully that makes sense. Right now, I can't activate it because I'm not close enough, but in normal survival conditions, I would be. And I could just sit here and flip this switch, or set it up with a redstone circuit somehow that maybe detects if we're running out of wood, and it would operate this and cut the tree down and keep wood going into this machine. Now, the only sticking point with this design, which could be a problem, is that if we let it run long enough, because we're basically producing a piece of charcoal with every wood that we smelt, but yet each charcoal can smelt like, what, 4 pieces of wood, I think, if I'm not mistaken? I'm not sure off the top of my head. I think a piece of charcoal can smelt at least 2, possibly 3 or 4 pieces of wood, which means that if we let this thing go, we're going to end up with an excess of charcoal. So we'd have to set up a circuit to dispense of the extra charcoal once it reaches a certain level. But other than that, if we do that, then we have an unlimited source of power. So, very cool. Again, one of the many things you can do with this CREAT mod. But, just to let you all know, I am going to make a series out of this. I want to explore this, and I want to have a great time doing it. I want us to have a great time doing it. So I've actually set up a survival world, and I'm trying to gather enough materials so that we can make all this stuff. And we will talk about how to do that later. But no, we will not always be hanging out in this creative world. So, yes, and we will explore the pipes, we'll explore the belts, and all of that stuff. Trains. There's all kinds of possibilities for trains and mine carts. In fact, let me give you a small taste of that. So, let's see. If we do Where is it? Cart assembler, maybe? Let's try that. Okay, let's hit... Hang on. Let's hit W. Let's take a look at this. So, powered cart assemblers mount attached structures to passing mine carts. Okay, so look at that. Can do that. And without the signal, it disassembles. And then we've got these chassis that can be all glued together. This is an important factor in the game. Okay. So if you can figure out a reason you'd want to do that. Oh, look at that. Yes, you can carry the whole contraption elsewhere. That is kind of cool. Okay, so then... Yep. And you can... Yeah, look at that. You can put drills on it. And, oh, that's right. You can set it up so that it maintains the same direction. Okay, now this next one I think is really insane. If it's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, I think this is it. You can actually connect things together. Isn't that wild? Look at that. There's got to be possibilities that we can use here. This is awesome. Regular tracks will not affect the passing cart's motion. When a power rails, the carts will be held in place until it's powered. Got it. All right. Yep. Okay, there we go. Makes sense. So yeah, we have lots of possibilities with trains as well. It's going to be frickin' awesome. Now, there's one other thing I want to show you that we're going to be taking advantage of. I've seen a few people use this. And you know what? Let's go ahead and get rid of... There we go. Done. Get rid of all the slimes. Okay. And that is... Oh, by the way, this is some of the new motif that you can use in this mod. This is taking granite, and this is the CREAT Mod, and some of the textures the CREAT Mod gives you. So I just kind of wrapped a portal. Now look at this. This is called Immersive Portals. That's what this mod is. And it allows you to just look right into the nether, or wherever a portal is going, the end, whatever it might be. And it creates the possibility for a lot of, quote, non-Euclidean effects. Because, I mean, look at that. Look at this. Isn't that insane? So, I've already seen some people with some skill who set these things up so that you could create, like, completely deceiving hallways inside of buildings and stuff like that. And I'm really looking forward to using that possibility, taking advantage of that. So, yeah, very awesome. And by the way, this does work with Optifine, okay? Despite what you might see online, it works with Optifine. If you run this mod, I actually had to use a less recent version of Optifine to make this work, but it does work. The CREAT Mod, Immersive Portals it's called, and Optifine do work together. Now, I kinda wish the Replay mod would work with this, but it does not. I cannot find it. It works with Fabric. I'm using Forge. If there's a version of Replay that works with Forge, or if there's a way that the CREAT Mod can work with Fabric, if you can get that to happen, then you could run them all together, because I would love to use Replay Mod with this as well. But you know what? We'll work with what we've got. And here's another example of a machine using a couple of crushers. What are they called? Millstones? Not millstones. These are... I remember what these are. What the actual name for them is a crushing wheel. Okay. And what you do with these, by the way, so since we're here, why don't we demonstrate that? Let's grab some zinc ore, which we've got. And we'll cue this into this chute. Oh, yeah, right there. See, that's what should have happened. It should spit that out. Maybe it's still crushing more stuff. It just takes time. I can't recall exactly. But with that zinc, with the crushed zinc, you can actually smelt it, or you can mix it up to create, or mix it up with crushed copper to create brass. And I kind of have that whole setup right here, where you can just put the zinc and the copper in, and then throw the two zinc and copper together in the mixer, and it creates crushed brass. And then you smelt the crushed brass to create brass ingots, and then you can come over here to the mechanical structure and smash them into sheets, and then using this crafting grid right here, you can create more stuff with it. So yeah, very cool. So many possibilities. that this Create Mod gives us that I think we're just going to have a great time. So like I said, next time you see me, we're going to be working in a real survival world, I think. I think that's what we'll do. We'll test items in the creative world here, but for the most part, we're going to hang out in the survival world. Now, just so you know, the Factorio series that I'm working on has not gone away. It's just that as soon as I started working with this, hours turned into days and days turned into weeks. And I've just been like, going to town with this. It just kind of captured my imagination. But Factorio will still be happening. And I told you with the Factorio series, it's going to be a relaxed series. Okay, so keep that in mind. Don't look for regular uploads on that one. I'm just going to do it as best I can. And I will also warn you that the Factorio series, I got annoyed with the alien biomes. I got annoyed with the alien biomes mod. It just annoyed the heck out of me. So I actually completely restarted the game, and I tried to advance through the game about to the point where the last video was. So we'll see. I like the layout, the current layout, a whole lot better. So we'll get to that when we get to that. So also, take a look in the description of the video. You're going to see that I opened up a new channel called JomommaShorts. Check out JomommaShorts. And I'm going to post a lot of short videos on things that I learned here in the Create Mod, among other things, but it's kind of starting out with Create Mod shorts. So be sure to go over there and check that out if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button. I'd sure appreciate it if you're, into checking out JomommaShorts. If they're a turn on to you, be sure to check them out. All right. Well, anyway, I think that's all the time we have for today, and y'all hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next one. Ciao.